Well, nice to see everyone. My name is Amir Khan. I host these weekly coaching calls for newbies. Um, uh, Today we don't have a guest, so I'm going to take question and answers. I'm going to share a couple of things, few ideas that some I do talk about every week. Today, I'm going to talk about something specific in terms of review for newbies. So, if you're a newbie and you have completed the training, some reminders that'll help you with choosing your market, understanding the process, and all that. All right. But before I start, just want to let you know if you are completely new to our program and this is your first time on the call. If you don't mind, I'm gonna call on you just to say hi. So just introduce yourself. Where are you from? So I'll call you in just a moment. Please have your camera on so I can call on you. I'm gonna do that after I share my screen and go over a couple of things, and then I'll call on you. All right. So here are a couple of things that I go through pretty much every week. This does benefit everyone, and my good friend Major is on the call. He's going to put in the links that I am talking about and showing you. These weekly calls have replays, and we have, I think, over a year's worth of calls. I try my best to. There is definitely a date. I know. I try my best to put a topic on it. So when you go to the link, you will have to scroll all the way down to look at the first recording, which is all the way down. So some of the videos that I reference here, they're very earlier videos, which means you have to scroll all the way down. All right. So the past recordings for these coaching calls are at this link. And then there is something called a newbie learning pod. The purpose of this pod is for people to have some kind of this is for newbies and it's for them to have an accountability group. What that means is, let's say you've completed your training and you at least have funds to fund your one slow flip and you are stuck, which means for some reason you're not successful in buying your first slow flip, then you are eligible to join this program. The details about the program, how do you go about it, how to apply for it, all the details are at this link. So again, my friend Major is going to put that in the chat so you can check that out as well. Next is how to look at 100 homes. One of the most important things that you will learn in our program is you have to look at 100 homes in any market that you're deciding on going to. So let's say you're looking at a state of Ohio and you're looking at three different cities in Ohio. Then you have to look at 100 homes in one city, 100 homes in another city, and 100 homes in another city, not collectively. All right. And that will give you a good idea about how to go about this. So community member Joshua King actually has a very cool, fast, effective way to look at 100 homes, and he wrote a PDF guide for us, and he also has a video. So if you scan this QR code, you can get that as well. There's no charge for any of this. And then going back to my recordings, the link that we had earlier, these are some of the recordings that have been very helpful. I don't know if you can see this. The topics are over here and the dates are here. I don't know if you can see them, but like I said, these are one of the earlier recordings. So when you go to that link, you have to scroll all the way down. That's where these are. Okay. All right, and next is a program we call the Certified Private Money Lender Program. And the purpose of this program is to have private money lenders for people in our community. And so these are members of our community who have said that yes, they would want to lend to people in our community based on the criteria that we all follow. And they have gone through the training. I designed this training and I trained them, I certify them. This is the certification we give them. But you do have to understand there are not as many private money lenders as we would all want. So they are limited, and most of them will only fund one loan. All right. And so the information on this, if you want to learn more about this, if you go to the school tab in the community discussion, if you look at the tabs, there are many tabs. You have to slide down all the way. There's a tab name, Certified Private Money Availability, if I'm not wrong. And so you can look at past listings as well. and see how people use that, and this is part of the program. All right, so that's something I wanted to share. I see there's a question. Give me just a moment. Let me just finish all the parts that I have to present, and then I'll take questions. So at this point, I do want to see if there's somebody brand new who just recently joined the program, and this, especially if this is their first time on the call. I would like to call on them. So, is that? Is that Jason? Are you able to unmute yourself? Okay, hold on. Let me check. Make sure you can. You should be able to. Oh, okay. Yeah, you should be able to unmute yourself now. Nobody can? Okay. Well, I'm trying. Oh, okay, now try. There you go. Okay, it's working now. Yes, Jason, go ahead, please. Not working for you? Okay, sorry. Now I know it's working now. It wasn't working before, so I did fix it. So, uh,
Works here.
yeah, it works for major. It's okay. If you can't, don't worry about it. Just if you don't mind, just put it in the chat about yourself, where you're joining from, when did you join, just a little bit about yourself, and maybe Major, you could read it out for us later on. Anybody else who's brand new, first time on the call? Nobody else? You can unmute yourself because I can't see everybody. I'm sorry.
Yeah, hi. This is Julian. Can you hear
Hi,
me?
Julian. Hi, how are you?
Okay, great. Yeah, hi. Hi, Amir. Hi, everyone. Yeah, I'm a newbie. I've been around just about 10 days now. So, um, yeah, and
Welcome. Where are you from?
I'm
Where?
located in New York City,
All
Manhattan.
right.
Yeah.
All right. New York City. I love it. I lived in New York City for 5 years,
Okay, great.
early part of my life. Which borough are you on, as we call it?
Manhattan. Yeah.
Manhattan. All right. Okay. Well, thank you for joining. Where are you planning on investing? Have you kind of have any idea right now, or are you just joined, so you're just going through the training?
Yeah, I mean, I'm still looking into it. But they got me busy being a filler like the day
Okay.
after I joined, so
Okay.
I'm being broken in that way.
That's good.
So that's good,
Yeah.
hit the ground running with that. So yeah, I'm just trying to dive into that and learn all I can. So
Okay.
yeah.
All right. Nice to see you, Julian. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
Uh, Anybody else? You can just unmute yourself. Yes, Jean. Hi, how are you?
I'm a newbie. I just joined about 4 hours ago.
Oh, wow. That
So
must
I'm
be
a
the
real newbie.
fastest person who joined and is on the call. That is awesome. Where are you based, Jean?
I am in Palm Springs, California,
Okay.
Palm
Okay.
Desert, actually, from Los Angeles, originally from Manhattan.
Oh,
Uh,
okay. There you go.
but
Uh,
I've been in LA for, I don't know, 50 some odd years. And then after the crash, I came to Palm Springs and just decided I didn't want to go back to LA. So I've been here for 14 years now.
so do you have any real estate background, or how did you
Yeah, I've owned a mortgage company since 1990, and I owned 11 apartment buildings in Phoenix, which I pretty much gave back to the bank during the crash.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, and my property manager was murdered, and I have great stories to tell. Um, but so I've got a lot of experience, but nothing like this, and I'm
This
just
is yeah,
so
yeah.
excited. I'm so
You're gonna
excited.
love this. You're gonna love this. But I do want to give you advice. Being in this community for a couple of years, and I also came in the program with a lot of experience, both on the residential and commercial side.
Mhm.
That don't do anything until you finish the training. So you
Yeah.
have a complete picture of what all the parts are. Now, some things may not be relevant for you, which is again I'm talking about everybody's benefit, for everybody's benefit. For example, if you're not going to invest in your area, some of the sections that are in the training about bandit signs and all that things, those are
Mhm.
for generating leads in your local market and
Mhm.
going, which Scott teaches because that's the core of his program. That's how he
Mhm.
actually find leads in his own market. so I did this, but I kind of skipped over it knowing that I'm not going to be doing it. So I'm in
Mhm.
Texas and I don't invest in the Texas market. I'm only in the Midwest. So that's just going to help you because otherwise you'll be like, oh, wait a minute, I'm not planning on doing this. So,
Right.
but once you finish the whole program, you see the whole picture. That's the idea.
I appreciate that. Okay, good. Yeah, I
All
don't
right.
think California is the greatest place to be looking
It's
for
not,
$30,000
yeah, it's not.
homes.
It's not. But well, welcome.
Thank
Glad you
you.
introduced yourself. Thank you. Anybody else? You can just unmute yourself. I can't see everyone, so.
I am Sunny,
Hi, Sunny. How
and
are you?
I'm good, thanks. I've been in the program for about a month now. I
Okay,
did finish the training and I'm looking for my first house.
wonderful.
I'm probably gonna get one from Shajan. I don't know. Hopefully it comes through. But truly excited to be here. I am a realtor in Central Florida
Okay.
for the past 6 years, but I've never done anything like this. So
It
I'm
is, it
truly
is,
excited.
it is something completely different. I tell you, yeah, it's interesting and it's exciting, but there are specifics about this business. So I just tell everyone, just don't get overconfident by saying, oh, this doesn't seem very hard. There are peculiar things about this process and strategy, and you will never know everything unless you only decide to work on in one market and that's all you do. So for example, I'm in three different states, so I'm in different cities. So I can't say that I know everything. I'm always learning something new. Okay, well,
Do you think it would be best for me to just invest in one market, like concentrate on one market to begin with before I
well, yes, there's a
go?
couple of things I'm going to discuss in a moment as well. So I'm going to talk about that. But
Okay,
yes, if you're starting out, regardless of your experience, just start with one market, do one deal, understand the market, understand the process. So whichever market you do in, there are some specifics. For example, in Illinois right now, there are a lot of deals available. The homes look amazing, good pricing, but then the downside is the taxation. The properties tax rate is much higher than the other markets where we are, and
mhm,
Illinois is not the most friendly state for landlords. So there are drawbacks. I mean, there are more properties, better condition, good deals, but then the drawback. So just understand that. I'm going to cover few section in just a moment as well. So I'm glad that you joined. So thank you for introducing yourself. Anybody else brand new? Jason, I see your thing is unmuted. If you like, you can introduce yourself, please. No? Okay, I see your mic is unmuted, but okay, no worries. No worries. So we'll move on. Sachin, I see your hand. If you don't mind, just hold on to your question. I do see some other questions. So let me just cover one thing. I wanted to show you especially if you finish the training, I don't know if you remember this. There is a section in the training where it's called cheat sheet. So I'm going to show you that section, but let me grab the URL because I know you're going to be asking about that URL. So this is what I'm talking about. And I'm sure if you've gone through the training, you've seen this. But in case you've forgotten about this, I want you to go back. And so I just put the link in the chat. All right. And I think it actually has a lot of information for you to review because sometimes when you and this is right at the really beginning stages. So once you finish the modules, this might have been maybe during your first week, right? So you might have forgotten. So, but these are some very, very good reference materials. So, for example, let's start with 5 ways to find properties. So you can't really simplify it more than this. MLS, Zillow, wholesalers, investor Facebook groups. Now, what is missing over here is the wholesalers. When we say wholesalers, we mean anybody who is wholesaling that home What it does not mention, I guess, is the wholesalers in our community. So the people in our community are, of course, buying properties for themselves, so they know how to find property that meets a slow flip criteria. So they are able to find good deals that meet our criteria, and they're in our community as well, right? So they post these deals as well. So they will be community member wholesalers, right? But in this case, what they mean is what's listed here is wholesaler who's from outside our community. Investor Facebook groups is also a good place. Facebook Marketplace is very big. A lot of people find deals there as well. Real estate agents and brokers, even though this thing says right here MLS, but then it says real estate agents and brokers. And what that really means is this: once you get good at this, if you especially have been in real estate, just like any business in real estate as well, you thrive with making connections and building relationships. So if you have a relationship with a broker or an agent, sometimes it does happen, they will bring properties to you that are about to be listed, which means you, especially if they've worked with you and they understand your criteria and they have the perfect deal for you, and that has happened to me. That's why I'm also sharing this with you. They will actually tell you, hey, I'm about to list a property that meets exactly what you need. Now, I understand you might be thinking, well, it's not fair to the seller that they're telling that he or she is telling you this. Well, here's the thing. Sometimes the seller wants the property sold ASAP. Do you see what I'm saying? And if the agent knows that I perform, which means if I put it under contract, I will close. That's why I'm saying the relationship is important. Then the agent can tell the seller, look, I have somebody who is qualified. I've done business with this guy. He will close. But we gotta he this is his offer. Do you see what I'm saying? So it actually works for everyone. And those are one of the best deals. Some of the best homes that I've bought were, so in other words, because he has an obligation from the listing to actually put it online, he will put it online. But what I did was he told me, I looked at the property, I looked at the number. By the time it went online, it was probably online for less than an hour. I had put in an offer, and within like 2 hours, the offer was accepted. Do you see that? So as far as the seller was concerned, he or she was getting what they wanted. So everybody won. A local investor community. So this is, we all know there are real estate investment associations in each cities. So if you go to your local market, there are people, wholesalers as well, who are in those markets. Plus, there are real estate investor who would be selling. Now, obviously, this works if you are investing in the local market where you live, right? So in many of our cases, that may not be true, but there are investors in our community that invest in markets where they live in. Virginia is one, and there are a couple of other places. All right, so that's the first one. This one's secret, slow flip deal calculator, and it's a little bit longer. I would actually have done it in one page, and it should be very simple. And all it really means is this one right here is the main. I would, especially if you're a newbie, I would not do anything else. Try to stick with this. I hope you can see it. I'm trying to maximize the screen. Okay. So, oh, hold on. I think I can increase. Oh, there you go. Yeah. Which is maximum $30,000 purchase price. And you are financing it for 5 years at 12%. So your your financing expense should be $667.33. All right. So that's what you need to know. If you're putting in your money, then you're looking at, I guess, return of investment, right? Then it doesn't really matter. But so it's simplified. And I know, if once you go through the training, you'll understand that you all will have a future freedom number, that once you have a certain number of slow flips free and clear, it should be bringing in a certain amount of income, right? So you will realize that whatever that number is, in most cases, some people say it's 20, some people say it's 40 or more, you probably will not have enough funds of your own to fund everything, right? Which means at some point you will need outside funding, right? And so based on that idea from the very beginning, you need to be doing your numbers based on this fundamental financial model, which is borrowing 30K and paying your private money lender on a 5-year note at 12%, right? So what we are trying to talk about is anytime you look at a property, you have to do some math. And so this is the money math, right? So that tells you, okay, this is what I'm going to commit at. So in other words, I have to buy a home that is 30 or under. So right here, there is a little problem, unfortunately. When I joined, which is about 2.5, 3 years ago, there were plenty of deals that you could find, not just on the MLS, but in our wholesale community that were under 30,000, 25, 26, 27, 20 even. But now it's harder and harder. But I buy most of my properties on the MLS, and I buy them all the time. Most of the time, they're under 30. So there are deals out there. They're just you just have to look. Okay. So that's that number, right? Second, what you're trying to do is you're trying to figure out what would be the taxes for the property before you finalize your money math. And how do you figure out taxes nowadays? It's actually even easier. You don't even have to worry about, you just have to be sure that you don't confuse. So this is literally what I do. If let's say the property is in Decatur, Illinois, I would literally put property tax for Decatur, Illinois. In fact, you can even do this. Uh, if a property is listed online and you put in the address, so let's say it's 123 Main Street, Decatur, Illinois, and if you put property tax for uh, ABC Main Street, Decatur, Illinois, it actually, if that page is indexed, it will bring you to the county page where the taxes are listed. So a lot of time you don't even have to do more search than that. And all you are trying to do is look at a historical, look at last year's tax record and just figure out what the taxes are, right? So whatever the annual taxes are, 500, 600, $700 a year, you figure out the monthly figure by dividing it by 12. So now you know how much taxes are for that property, right? Next is insurance. Now, there are many ways on doing this. The best way is if you work with there are companies out there. You can put in the address, and they'll give you an estimate on what they would quote. You can work with a broker. So a lot of time, what we are trying to tell you is actual cash value, which is what you're kind of paying for the house. Most cases, what I'm seeing right now, insurance companies are insuring it for minimum 50 grand, regardless of how much you're paying for it. So even though you bought it for $30,000, they will not insure it for less than $50,000 in most areas. So that would be your actual cash value, and then you will figure out what the premium is divided by 12, so you know your monthly number, right? Now all you're doing is you're trying to figure out the next thing is you add all these numbers. So you got your financing number, 667.33 for 30 years, sorry, a 5-year note. You got your taxes and you got insurance. So that's your expense part, right? Now you got to figure out what is the income, right? And the way to do that is uh, in our system, how Scott teaches is you can either, if you don't know the market at all and you don't have the community, we have the community. We already have set standards. When I say set standards, which means people are already investing in these markets. They can give you these numbers as well if you put it, but you can search it yourself. One of the easy way of doing this is, let's say you're going into a market that is established. And if you don't know what that means that these are the markets where many of our members are already investing, right? So you don't have to reinvent the wheel by saying, well, I wonder if I go to this city, what will happen? Well, yes, if nobody's in our community is investing in there, yes, we won't have any data. For that, that's what you have to do is run Go Stats, which simply means there's a process for it where you would put an ad with a picture and some hypothetical number just to see the market, to see how the response is. All right. And that'll tell you whether it's a good market or not. My suggestion is, and that's exactly what I did learn the process. So I did do everything in the training, but I did not try to reinvent the wheel. And that's what I would recommend, especially if you do not have a lot of real estate experience. Please don't try to reinvent the wheel. Don't try to go into the new market. Don't, I would just stick with the basics. Yes, Major, something about this?
Yeah, Sonny has a question about if there's a method people use to estimate the cost of insurance.
Uh, so I know Steadily, which other Major, you probably remember that. So I know Steadily is one. So steadily.com is one big company, and there are a few others. I know what's the other one?
My, I think Mike was associated with Obi, OBIE, and
OB
then
is a big one. But what's
Obi.
happening is literally after 6 months, something changes, which means you know how insurance companies are. Once they take on a whole bunch of people in a certain market, they reassess and then they either decide they're not going to write new, or they change their premium policy, or they don't do that class anymore. Without making it complicated, all I'm telling you is that it kind of changes. That's why we don't list the names of the vendor, because it changes from time to time. So you could post in the community asking, hey, what you guys are using for this city. That is the most important thing. Mention the city and state, because premiums not only differ from city and state, they also differ. Yeah, because for example, was it Obi that stopped writing policies in St. Louis, Missouri?
Yeah, like St. Louis and I think Detroit or Flint, one or
Detroit,
the other.
yeah. They
But
stopped.
there's a great recording with Amir and Mike Grizzle explaining a lot of this. Really informative.
Yeah. I wanted to just keep this very basic, because this is more from the cheat sheet. So if you guys want to look at this, you can go to that and then, go through this in more detail. I'm just trying to tell you that this information is there. And once you finish the training, you'll say, well, I don't know what to do or where. Well, these cheat sheets are great. Okay. So now let's say, so what's the other way of estimating rents in an established market? Realtor, yeah, you can use Zillow, and you can use apartments.com. There's Rentometer, but it's a paid service. So you could set up a free account and they'll let you pull some rents. So you'll put in an address for your property, and it'll tell you based on the number of bedroom and bath what the market rent is. So that'll give you an idea. And what I do usually is I use two sources, apartments.com and Rentometer. I know sometimes I think you can use Zillow also. Yeah, I use Zillow also. So you can use Zillow as well. So now you have an idea of what your range is in terms of income. I usually use the lowest that is in that range, and that gives me the revenue, right? My income. So now you know your income, and now you know your expenses. Now you know, according to this program, if your net is even zero, even then you're okay. However, you do want some buffer, because taxes increases, insurance also increases, so you don't want to be in a red. So you want to be cash flowing a little bit, whatever that number that you're comfortable with. All right, so that explains that. um Criteria for a market. So this is what Scott recommends. Let's see. I'm just again looking at this after a while, so I'm also trying to read everything. So number one definitely has to be, we would prefer it to be rather landlord friendly state. Now, Illinois is here, but we are finding it that it's kind of semi-friendly. It is challenging. So definitely Missouri is one. It's very landlord friendly. Ohio has been really great. So that's first criteria. Number two, understand which states allow land contract and CFD, and what the foreclosure process looks like. And what that means is that um, in some states it's called land contract, in some states it's called agreement for deed, for example, and they're the same thing, by the way. In Ohio is agreement for deed. And so you do want to know that they allow this. If they don't allow it in that state, technically you cannot do this over there. All right. But like I said, wherever our community already is doing it, it's allowed there. So that's why we're doing it there. Again, if you're new and you are new to real estate, please don't try to reinvent the wheel. All right. So by that, all I simply mean is look at where other people are investing in our community and decide between those markets. And I'm going to show you the list of that market. It's here on the same page. All right. And the other thing is demand is there, and that one way that is for if you're looking at a new market. But if you're going in a market that is established, for example, St. Louis, Missouri, a very big market, it's established. You don't necessarily need to run a ghost ad. Toledo, Ohio, it's an established market. But let's say you found a small town somewhere 100 miles from a major city in a established near established market but not exactly where everybody else is. Yes, in that case you may have to run a ghost ad to figure out whether there's a demand for it or not. All right. Livable, that's a very hard thing to figure out. A couple of things I can give you for livable. Our homes are in the Midwest, which means the mechanicals have to be working. Without that, without a furnace, without a hot water heater, you're gonna have a problem. And without a furnace, that's a big expense. So make sure there is a furnace, preferably working, working condition, right? The roof is a big issue. In some cases, you won't even get insurance coverage if the roof is bad. I've been told that most insurance companies, even if they have an automated process, they still look at satellite images and they make quick decisions if the roof very obviously looks bad and run down. So if you're looking for a property and you're buying a property, obviously you're looking at pictures. If you're doing this virtually, that's what I'm doing. You're looking at pictures. You're also sending your representative, which we call boots on the ground, and they're taking pictures and they're physically there, and you can ask them as well. Hey, how does the roof look like, right? So you don't want a active roof leak. That is that, and then that's a problem, right? So that's a thing. You obviously don't want any obvious foundation issues, which is when I say obvious, like you look at the picture and you can tell. I've looked at picture, honestly, I've looked at wholesale deals, and I'm not an expert, but I've been in real estate long enough. If you just look at a house and the house looks like that, it's tilted in one direction, I mean, even you will say that, okay, this doesn't look right, you know and sometimes those are signs, right? Obviously cracks in the basement is one of the other concerns. So we talked about the furnace. Your mechanicals have to be working. The breaker box, big one. Is it there? Is it missing? Is the copper wiring missing? That's a big one. Do not touch that because that could lead into, rewiring the whole house. So when we say livable, we mean that it has, all of these things are in place. The plumbing is in working condition, right? You cannot have, I remember there was a house that came on the market and I was working with the wholesaler, and great house, beautiful house. But he disclosed to me that the main plumbing line is clogged. And so I was curious and I said, okay, well, is there some more pictures? And so literally he sent me a picture of the basement, and it was a video, and there was active sewage back up there. So now you would think, well, maybe it's not that hard. Well, I had to make a decision because the house was not near the front of the street. It was way back, more than 2,000 yards or something. So when you actually estimate a new sewage line, that is extremely expensive depending on how far it is tapping into the city. And I just did the calculation, and that could have been thousands of dollars. So just be very, very careful on major systems that they should be either in working condition, or I found that if somebody was living there very, very recently, again, there's no guarantee. There's a sign. That's a sign that yes, most of the things were in working condition. All right. So now we know that yeah, so it's livable. And the final one, the price and the rent line up where you can pay off your 5 year, which we talked about, our term for our private money lender. You can pay them a 5 year note on a $30,000 loan. So the price and the rent, and again, this has to do with the price, 30,000, and the rent means what is the market rent for that property. So that generally gives you a criteria of what you should be looking at for a slow flip. So next one, let's see. Oh, here, this is the best one. This is literally a list of all the places where members in our community are currently investing. And again, you don't have to take pictures or anything. I put the link in the chat. So the big ones, and I can tell you where I am. I have properties in Cahokia. I have properties in Illinois, Peoria. I have properties in East St. Louis, Illinois. I have properties in Decatur. I have properties again, Peoria, Toledo, big market for me. But as you can see, if you look at the states, Illinois, Ohio, Missouri, Indiana. Indiana is a very interesting market. I've looked at it many, 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 many times. There is a lot of homes there. There is a challenge there in that, at least what I found, is that generally the rents are lower. So when the rents go below $600, it becomes harder because my portfolio is entirely funded with private money lenders, right? So as soon as the rent goes below $600, you are barely able to pay your private money lender. Remember, you also have to pay taxes and insurance. So in other words, just doing that quick math, I realized that it's tight. So unless you're really finding homes in the low 20s, something like that, then maybe you can make the numbers work. But that's what my take is for Indiana. Now, Virginia, I again, I don't invest there, but I hear good homes. There is good appreciation, but the problem is, I doubt if you can find any $30,000 home there anymore. So if your criteria is slightly different, you want to work with bigger numbers. I know between 40 to 50 is what the numbers are in that area, or maybe higher. Major, right? What are people buying homes in Virginia for in the areas we're buying?
I think Scott's minimum nowadays around the Hampton Road, Virginia Beach area is fifty
Yeah,
thousand. But Virginia's a large state. There's
that's
other
true.
other markets, yeah.
That's true. That's true. Alabama is another one. I don't invest there, but I hear it's a good market, and there are many people in our community doing that. I didn't know that there were people in Iowa, but I guess there are because it's on this sheet. Louisiana is another one. I know Casey is one, right, Major? Who's doing Louisiana? Is that right? Is it
Oh, yeah, a
Casey?
lot of good. Yep, Casey, a couple
Yeah.
people, a lot of good activity going on there.
And Mississippi. Mississippi is a, yeah, I hear it's a good market as well. All right. So this is a good reference for you, because let's say you do find a home, or if you want to search, because remember, you're actually looking for homes first, right? But where are you looking? Instead of just randomly looking and whatever comes to your mind, no, be strategic. Decide on 3 or 4 markets, research in our community, read comments from other members, look at what they're doing, and then go back and start searching. And so look at properties, then come back, and then make a decision based on that. Okay. There's also a completed checklist for deals. So if you're doing a deal and you want to look at the checklist, so this section right here is very useful. So I would maybe bookmark it for reference. So I thought I'll share this with you. Okay. So I can take questions if you have questions, or
Hey, Amir,
yes, sir.
I don't know if Jennifer's still here. She's also new and she was trying to introduce herself earlier.
I'm here.
Jennifer.
There we go.
Okay. If you don't mind, turn on your camera because I can't even see you here. So
Yep. Hold on 1 second.
there you go.
Oh, can you see me?
Yep, I can. How are you, Jennifer?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. Tell us about yourself. Where you based, and when did you join, and any background? So
Yeah, so I am actually in Arizona, and I'm actually a lender myself. So I do a lot of investment properties, I do primary, and then I do some commercial stuff. But I lend nationwide, so I'm kind of all over the place. But yeah, I just started today, literally just signed up like a couple hours ago, brand new.
Wonderful, wonderful. So let me ask you, because you're going to be inundated with questions, and so just when you say you're a lender, I'm assuming you're a hard money lender.
I'm all of it. I do it all. I
Okay,
do have hard money, commercial, I do the primary side also.
perfect. Would you be lending based on the terms we are looking for, which is a 5-year note at 12%, no fees? Is that something you might be open to?
So I'm a broker, so I have investors and lenders that might be
I got
willing
it.
to do that. Yep, absolutely.
Okay, that is wonderful. I think if you like, afterwards, you and I can also talk, because I train people for our community to be certified private money lenders. And
Okay.
so when they place loans in our community, in your case, you don't need training. But most of the people that I've trained, the purpose for doing that is so that they are confident about what our terms are, the way our model works, and so there's a good match. But especially if you can find, that'll be very beneficial for the community. If you can find certain lenders who know that it's a closed community and there's a little bit more, and of course we do give, it's secured, protected, and insured. So you have, first lien position. So you're not like, uh, because we're not paying upfront fee or so anything, but we are giving more security because we are giving first lien positions. Because I know, coming from hard money side, sometimes I know even people do second lien position, right?
Mhm.
So I would
Yep.
never do that. But yeah, so in that sense, this is a much better deal. But glad to meet you, and I'm happy to see you here.
Thank you. Glad to
All
be
right,
here.
you're
Thank you,
welcome.
guys.
Welcome. All right. Does anybody have a question?
Got a
Jean, you have
question?
a question? Yes, go ahead.
Yeah. How do you deal with it when you don't view the property yourself? I mean, even if you use one of the bogs, what happens with things that they can't see, like a completely filled up or broken septic tank, uh, sewer issues, things like that, and you can't always see the roof issues. Um,
Correct.
you don't get inspections though, right? I mean, you
So
see
that's a
as
very
is,
good
how do you
question.
deal with that?
Yeah, that's a very good question. So let's start with that first, inspection, right? This is what Scott says, which I think is very, very smart. If you remember, you're buying a property as an investor, which means you have not lived in it. And based on what was disclosed to you, you know about the property, right?
Right,
You don't know anything
right,
beyond that.
right,
The moment you do an inspection, you know that you are now liable to disclose it to your seller. So
right.
it's a little disadvantage in that sense. So that number one. But I know for our purposes, we want to know what the situation of the property is. So for one reason is the cost, extra cost.
Mhm,
Second is you will have to disclose. So what we do and what I do, and which works for most of us, is at the end just understand that it is, you are taking some additional risk in that sense, that yes, you are doing something knowing that this is an older home, knowing that there could be other things that may not be present or be visible. You just have to use your best judgment,
mhm.
plus you use the person that you can find that would be the best person to represent you, somebody trustworthy somehow. And one way of doing that is, in our community we have people that we use, and then we rate them. So if somebody, and I can give you this, I can tell you everybody right now so that it's on record. There was somebody who was recommended by someone to be a boots on the ground, and he was in our community listed. And I went there because he was recommended. I used that person. That person not only did a terrible job, he charged me twice as much, and the results, and in fact, it cost me more money. And that person then acted really, really weirdly. So I did what everybody in the close community need to do. I told everyone about it. When I told everyone about it, well, guess what happened?
He
other
sued
people
you.
started coming up and saying, well, I had the same experience.
Okay.
As soon as we had 3, 4 people, that person was removed from the program, which means he's no longer there. So there is a little built-in trust in our community, especially people who do good. People give them, reviews, and
Mhm.
then they refer them, and they get more business. So it helps both of us. So now the only issue is conflict of interest. You don't want to hire someone who is also selling you the property, which, boots on the ground. Sometimes the person, let's say a wholesaler in the community, has used a boots on the ground to take the pictures,
Mhm.
and the same person is listed at the boots on the ground in the area, which might happen, right? And so if you use that person and you find out, oh, wait, that's the same person who actually took the pictures. So there's a little conflict of interest. So that's a judgment call. You'll have to decide, well, would you trust that person or would you do something else? So I'm going to tell you the process I use. So either I use boots on the ground, somebody from the community, and I usually try to do a something called a live walkthrough, which like with a FaceTime something where
Mhm.
they will literally walk the property and I will guide them where to walk, what to do, because I've already looked at the pictures. That's something I've done beforehand. So I already made notes that okay, this is area of concern. So let's say there's a patch in the ceiling in the
Mhm.
living room. So I would say, okay, what I want you to do is I want you to walk in the living room and I want you to pan over the ceiling. And I'm just not relying on myself. Then I'm
Mhm.
asking the person, what does it look like? Does it look like it's a uh,
Repeat.
active
Mhm.
stain, or does it look like this stain? So, for example, there was a home that I recently bought, and there was a stain, but then he said, it's been raining for 4 days,
Mhm.
and it was completely dry. So what that means was maybe there was a leak a long time ago, but there's no active leak. So you have to make those judgment calls. Unfortunately, beyond that, you just have to be careful. I do buy quite a number of properties through the MLS, so I read the seller disclosure form very carefully. And
Mhm.
if there is something there, then that's up on me to make sure I investigate it further. But beyond that, yeah, it is an older home. If you're not going to do an inspection, then yes, you may end up with some surprises.
But
But
does that happen very often that you end up with something really that you've got to replace a septic or, rewire the place, things that you can't really see?
yeah, so for example, septic is so most of the properties I bought did not have a septic tank, so they were in
Okay.
in city limits, and so yeah, that's it's visible.
Right.
So one of the things, if in the first deal that you're trying to do, you're uncomfortable with that, like I said, one of the things I've done that has worked really well is you can even buy a property with tenants in them that are about to leave,
Oh, and
right?
ask them.
But there's a little risk there. Remember, the risk is if they stop paying or they don't leave, now you have an eviction to do. But on the flip side, you know that everything works, right?
Mhm.
The
Mhm.
furnace works, the water heater works. And I bought properties where we had a tenant, which we converted into a tenant buyer successfully.
Oh,
That's
okay.
another discussion because it has to do with what they're paying
Mhm.
and what you want them to be paying. If the difference is too big, then that's probably not going to happen. So let's
Right.
say
Right.
you bought a home, 3 bedroom, 1 bath, and they're paying $600, and you need to be making 950. So that's actually quite a big increment, right?
Mhm.
So you could have early discussions before you close that, hey, this is what we do. Sometimes a seller may not want to do that because they don't want to spook off their existing tenant, right? So you
Mhm.
gotta have to, based on the situation, you may have to see what's the best option. But let's say there is an indication from the seller, but that this person has been there for many, many years, and let's say the increment is not that. Let's say they're paying 750, close to 800, and you want 950 or something like that. So the difference is about 150 or something like that, right?
Mhm.
That's workable. You would understand because if you think from their perspective,
They'll own
if
it.
they say no, they'll have to move. And
Mhm.
in most cases, what you're asking is fair market rent anyway.
Right.
You're not, so for them, they're going to end up paying for the same, and plus the
Mhm.
move cost. So if you're reasonable and they understand that it's reasonable and the numbers are close, that actually works out really well. And that also tells you about the property condition, and so you're getting into better home that way.
Good. Thank you.
Sure,
Thanks.
you're welcome. All right. Any other questions?
I have a question.
Yes. Hi, Joleen.
Hi. Hi. So I have a little real estate agent that I found that is helping me a little bit. And I actually took the trip and went and looked at the house with her. And then just kind of following up with her, she went back and did a video. And I went ahead and used her to make an offer. It's our first one, and so it's really scary, but I'm getting through it, I think. I just wanted to ask, you think that's okay to use a real estate agent as kind of a boots on the ground? I mean, she is selling it to me.
Yes. So Scott says this, which is true, that she has skin in the game in the sense that she needs to sell the house. She makes her commission if she does this, right? So I do agree with that, but I use them. I use them all the time. That's how I've developed relationships with real estate agents,
Mhm.
and I found that this price point is so low that this one deal is not going to make her a lot of money anyway. So
Yeah.
they're in it for a relationship, in my opinion.
Mhm.
And if they're that kind of a person, in the long run, it's going to benefit both of you.
Yeah. And she's offering to help me fill the house. And so I've got the agreement for deed all prepared for her. I'm
May,
gonna, uh-huh.
I'm sorry, before. So I would be careful not to have her fill in the house. And I'll tell you the reason in a moment. Let's
Okay.
talk about the first part and I'll tell you why. But
Okay.
tell me about the first. You want to share some information with me? Is your offer accepted yet or not yet?
Yes.
Oh,
Yes.
wonderful. So congratulations.
Thank
When is
you.
your closing?
November 7th.
Okay. And you're self-funding it?
Uh-huh. I'm gathering the monies. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
Just hope.
so
Mhm.
3 bedroom, 2 bedroom, what?
It's a two bedroom, one bath. It's 27.5, and it's on a double lot, so it's got a really big yard, and it has a full basement. All the services are working. The owner was living in it,
Good. When did
and
the owner move?
he's actually still
Okay.
when I went through it a couple of weeks ago, he was
He was
actually
there.
his stuff was in there, and then there's a full garage as well. So I thought it seemed really good.
Okay,
Um,
before I forget, one thing, please ensure have your agent. Uh, by the way, this is the listing agent. Is that correct?
I know it's the sellers. It's my agent.
So you have your buyer's rep. This is a buyer's
It's
agent.
buyer's
You have a
rep.
sign. Okay, good. That's good. Are you going to end up paying her, right?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yes.
that's fine. I'm telling you, it will be worth it. I've done it many times. Okay, things have changed before you could do that, but now you can't. Okay, number one, please make sure because I've gone through this in the contract. Your contract closing should be subject to the property being vacant. It's obvious, but tell the agent you will not fund if the property is not vacant. Because I'm telling you, it happens. The seller, the feels, oh, I can move in another week, or I just need 2 days, and well, guess what? They're not out, and you own the property now. What will you
Yeah.
do?
I
So
actually looked up the seller, and the seller has a home in Detroit, and this is just his little home in Flint. He has property, I mean, he has some furniture in it, but he has all the lights are off. I mean, his stuff is there, and he's got a big motorhome parked on the side. So I think it was more, he's the investor, but it's his stuff is in the home. It's a little
tell me,
confusing.
this motorhome. What do you? The motorhome. Where is the motorhome
There's
parked?
a big RV parked right next to the home.
Is that his?
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
all of these things have to be gone before you close
right,
because I'm
right.
telling you, once you don't close, nobody will return your call and then you're stuck. I recently went through a closing where the seller's son was living in the house and he said, oh, yeah, he's going to be gone. And there was some miscommunication and I messed up. And we closed and the guy went to put the lockbox and the son was still there.
Oh,
And I
okay.
freaked out because I couldn't do anything. And then we just used our best techniques, and he was gone. He left immediately. But otherwise, we would legally, I couldn't do anything. Legally, I would have to do so. Please be careful on that part. Other than that's good. Now, on the filling part, I do have a suggestion. Have her that process, you have to really understand the contract for deed. It also might get her into trouble. She may or may not know doing something like this, which is filling, is very different because in terms of licensing agreement, I don't
Oh,
even know if
okay.
it's covered. She might get into trouble with her broker. So I
Okay.
wouldn't have her do the filling. But here's another thing you could do. You could tell her that you could bring me a buyer and I will give you a part of the commission. So the way that works is either you can do the contract for deed yourself with somebody's help in the community, or you can ask somebody who is a filler in the community to do it with the idea that either they can fill it for you, or if this agent brings in the buyer for you, you can just pay her a small commission, like part of it, like $500 or something like that.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
You know?
Okay, and then on the agreement for deed, how do you do the notary? I mean, because there's a signature of the tenant buyer and the
What
me,
state is this in?
Michigan.
Michigan. I'm trying to remember. Okay. I only have what I have one or two properties in Saginaw, so I'm trying to remember how we did that. So basically, you can do it several different ways. Your fillers, if you are using somebody who does filling there, and in Saginaw, it's going to be Jason Parker. He's really good. He can help you with that process. So he can get that notarized for you. He will get it notarized by the tenant buyer. And from your side, you can either go to your local bank and get it notarized, or you can use online service. I use online now. Blue Notary is excellent. They would log in virtually. They would pull up the document. They would sign it. Done. $25.
Okay. Okay. Going back for just a second, did you say it's okay? You think it's okay for the real estate agent to help find a family, to help find the tenant buyer, or no?
So yes, so they can bring the tenant buyer, but I would not let her do the paperwork.
Ah,
And so
okay.
you will have to figure out either you do the paperwork, so you can pay her half of the down payment.
Mm-hmm.
That's between you and her. But
Mm-hmm.
I would not have. I can tell you once she realizes what that document is, I don't think she should be doing it
Ah, okay.
because the remember the most agents are under a broker, and I think there are some brokers on the call right now, and the brokers are always concerned. So I think she hasn't told her broker what this is, and I can tell you as soon as she does, they will tell no, you can't do that.
Okay.
Not the paperwork part, because remember when you're a licensed agent, all the documents you sign are actually they're if you ever look at a real estate agreement, right, in
A
any state,
disagreement. Mm-hmm.
it's registered by the
Oh,
local realtor
okay.
association, and they have to use that form.
Ah,
So it's
gotcha.
regulated in that sense. Whereas the CFD is, yes, it may or may not have gone through an attorney, but not their attorney, so they don't know what they're getting involved with. You see what I'm
Gotcha.
saying?
Yes.
So, but
Yes.
yeah, if she sees that she can bring somebody potential to you, that's still very valuable. That's
Mm-hmm.
very valuable. So you can tell her, yeah, this is what I can pay you, and be honest. Say that, look, I have to hire somebody else to do the paperwork, so I can pay you this much, so that she knows that it's fair.
Okay. All
I
right.
don't
Thank
know how
you.
it works. I don't know how it works in Michigan, but here in Florida, I'm a licensed realtor here in Florida.
Uh-huh.
There is a buyer's compensation agreement, so it would be the same thing as if you made a contract with the FSBO.
Mm.
Well, but this is contract, and in Michigan, I'm trying to remember if yeah, it's contract for deed, if I'm not wrong. And
Right, she
contract
wouldn't be
for
able, you are correct, she wouldn't be able to fill out the paperwork, but she has to have an agreement with the buyer so that the broker, so that she doesn't get in trouble with the broker.
Mm. Which is a little
So
bit more complicated now. Then they will have to sign an agreement with her, you know.
Yeah, rules changed back in August.
Okay. Yeah, I would, like I said, I mean, ask her, but I'm pretty sure that as soon as the broker finds out that they'll start asking you a lot of questions. They'll ask you who was the attorney, who saw this, who, approved this, and then the ultimate could be that they will actually give you a CFD, which would maybe very different from what we use, because it might be on the buyer's benefit, in it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I just keep it simple. Like I said, you either use the people in our community. If you want to do it, just do the paperwork yourself. Paperwork is not that hard, but understand what it requires in the state. I don't know exactly because I use Jason. He knows uh,
Okay.
the state requirements, so you can just ask him. He'll tell you. He'll share
Yeah.
how
Yeah.
whatever. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. I found an agreement for deed, but I think that was for Virginia, but I copied it up. Do you think it's similar?
No,
Nope.
no,
It's all
no.
different.
Yeah, I would
Okay.
not assume. Please, yeah, please do not.
Do not.
You can ask people in the community if somebody's willing to share. They'll do that. The one I have, it's not mine. Again, it's Jason's. And really, honestly, what that really means is that Jason is using something that he has shown an attorney or one of the others, so he knows what is. There might be some verbiage in it that is specific to that state. So
Okay.
yeah, you cannot use contract for deed in all states. They have to be compliant in that state.
Okay, gotcha. Thank you.
You're welcome. Dave and Cindy.
Just a quick question.
Yes.
I am trying to get a property management agreement written up for two Ohio LLCs and kind of striking out with an attorney. You have anybody in mind that you could recommend?
Uh, doesn't really matter if it's because it's a property management one, so it's more generic. But which state is this in?
Ohio.
Ohio? Yeah, I got a good attorney I can refer you. DM me later
Okay.
on school, and I have an attorney that is a cool guy.
Okay. Super. Thank you.
All right. All right, guys. Any other questions? No? All right. Well, thank you so much. Have a nice week, and I'll see you all next week. Take care. Bye-bye.